his way. Herein, Angela Mulwa and Nelson Masiga were previously presented before this court in an application by the prosecution seeking custodial orders to facilitate investigations in connection to the murder of Dr. Victoria Mutiso. Upon considering the material placed before it, this court granted custodial orders for a period of 14 days. The purpose of the detention was principally to facilitate the completion of investigations, including the examination and processing of exhibits, recovery of any outstanding exhibits, and recording of relevant witness statements. The matter has now come before the court upon expiry of the 14-day period. The prosecution seeks a further 7 days of custodial orders on the basis that although the investigations have been completed, the file has been forwarded to the ODPP for perusal and directions. The ODPP is yet to communicate its decision on whether the respondents should be charged or not. It is the prosecution's position that the additional 7 days are necessary to enable the ODPP to consider the file and issue appropriate directions. The application is opposed. Counsel for the respondent submits that the 14 days granted by the court have served their purpose for which they were issued. Counsel submits further that continued detention merely because the ODPP is yet to issue directions would amount to unjustified limitation of the respondent's constitutional right to liberty. The respondents therefore urge the court to decline the application and release them forthwith. I've considered the application as well as the rival submissions. The court is also cognizant of the constitutional mandate of the ODPP and Article 157 of the Constitution. The decision whether or not to institute criminal proceedings rests with the ODPP, and this court shall not interfere with the exercise of that constitutional mandate. The question before the court is therefore narrower: whether the fact that the investigation file is awaiting prosecutorial directions constitute sufficient justification for the continued detention of the respondents for a further 7 days. The purpose of the original custodial orders was to facilitate investigations. The prosecution now confirms that investigations are complete and that the file has been forwarded to the ODPP. The investigative purpose for which the respondents were detained has therefore been fulfilled. The court appreciates that the ODPP may require reasonable time to peruse the file and make a decision. However, the mere pendency of prosecutorial directions cannot, without more, constitute a compelling reason to continue depriving the respondents of their liberty. Custodial orders at the investigative stage are intended to facilitate legitimate investigative objectives. They are not intended to provide the state with an additional period within which to await a prosecutorial decision after investigations have been completed. In the present case, the prosecution has not demonstrated any outstanding investigative steps which require the continued physical detention of the respondents. Neither has the court been presented with evidence that the respondents have, during the 14 days, attempted to interfere with witnesses, destroy evidence, or otherwise obstruct the investigation. I therefore find that the 14 days previously granted have served their intended purpose. However, the court does not ignore the concerns raised by the prosecution, although those concerns are insufficient to justify continued custodial detention in circumstances where investigations are complete. In circumstances where investigations are complete, they can appropriately be addressed through stringent and or proportionate bond conditions. The court is therefore persuaded that the interests of justice will best be served by releasing the respondents on terms designed to preserve the integrity of any proceedings that may subsequently be instituted. Accordingly, the prosecution's application for further 7 days is hereby declined. The respondents shall be released forthwith, subject to the following conditions. 1, each respondent shall execute a bond of 1 million with the one surety of a similar amount. The respondents shall further deposit their passports and any other travel documents with the court pending further orders. And the respondents shall not leave the jurisdiction of this court without prior written permission of the court. The respondents shall report to the investigating officer at Mavoko Police Station as and when required, or until the ODPP issues its decision, or until further orders of the court. The respondents are hereby cautioned that any breach of these conditions may result in the bond being cancelled and the respondents being remanded in custody in accordance with the law. The ODPP is at liberty to exercise its constitutional mandates under Article 157 of the Constitution. The custodial orders previously issued by this court, having served their purpose, are hereby vacated. The court emphasizes that the above conditions are imposed as safeguards intended to balance the respondent's constitutional right to liberty with the interests of justice and the integrity of any prospective criminal proceedings. This matter shall be mentioned on the 26th of August for a status update. That is the ruling.